Welcome to the Living Your Greatness podcast. I am your host, Ben Mummy. The purpose of the podcast is to inspire millions of people across the world to achieve greatness and enhance their overall personal well-being. Living Your Greatness is becoming the go-to resource that CEOs, elite athletes, professional coaches, and entrepreneurs rely on to upgrade themselves. The podcast helps you master the best of what other people have already figured out. So I gladly invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy tuning in to today's episode. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Living Your Greatness. This is your host, Ben Mummy, and today we have a new guest to the show, and his name is Jake Karls. So for those of you that don't know Jake, he is the co-founder and Rainmaker at Midday Squares. His team is here to build the world's next largest chocolate company. Over the last 4 years, Midday Squares has built a fully automated chocolate factory that can make up to 70 million of chocolate per year. Midday Squares sell its chocolate bars in over 4,500 stores across North America and have officially sold over 13 million chocolate bars. The secret ingredient to Midday Squares' vegan chocolate brand is viral content. Jake, along with his co-founders, star in TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube videos, sharing the behind the scenes of the entrepreneurship drama. Jake's purpose in life is to make people feel something deep inside, to spread good energy, and to show the world that you could win by being yourself every day. Jake passionately inspires others to be unapologetically themselves. So Jake, welcome to the show, brother. It is a pleasure to have you on. I'm super fired up.
Epic intro. Yo, dude, I'm fired up to be here today. And yeah, small world, Montreal, love. And, I think today we're gonna have a good conversation. And, for me, it's close to, I don't know when the podcast is going to post, but it's close to the holiday season right now, in December and closing out the year and kind of feeling that like almost the tiredness is coming. The tiredness is overarching my focus right now, and kind of like, feeling like I just think I need to take a rest. I need to just like take it easy and recharge because, for us in the food space, and especially in the better for you chocolate space, January onwards is really big months. It's big momentum because people are back to their, after vacation, after holidays, they want to start getting on a routine that's like cleaner for them, I guess. So we do really, really well during that time. And there's a lot of logistics and momentum during that time. So I want to get my momentum back, rest, recharge. And that's what I'm feeling right now.
I love that you were really transparent just about sharing that, because everyone does need slow living too, right? A little bit of time to reset your batteries, kind of like you said, no matter who you are, whether you have the energy or not. I'm sure a lot of listeners who are tuning in could also relate as well, right? Because a lot of us do really work hard. But Jake, let's kind of get hopping in. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you spend your formative years growing up? And what inspired you to become a co-founder and Rainmaker of Midday Squares?
Yeah, dude. So I grew up in Montreal, great fucking city. For those of you who haven't been here, come check it out. I find it's for just like the idea of growing up and community, it's very, very cool. And the architecture and just the momentum of the entertainment and night world, it's very good. But I always grew up, I was always the class clown. I was always the fun person that was always like, getting a lot of attention, but I was not the academic. And I studied through high school. Then I went to Marianopolis College to study business. And then after that, I went to Western University in London, Ontario, which is probably the greatest decision I made in my life. But I decided to study a program that I didn't want to do. I did it because people around me in my life were like, Jake's always been the class clown. Like he's just gonna keep being that guy. And it was kind of like, I felt kind of like embarrassed, like, as you're growing up, I feel like society puts you in this world where you got to mature in quotations, or like kind of like just get a job, make a family, and then that's your life. But I was like, shit, should I follow that route? And what I did is I said, okay, screw it. I'm going to become a great academic. I'm going to get a great job. And what I did is I decided to be an actuary, and actuarial science is extremely difficult. And I just want to prove to everyone around me that I could do it. I'm no longer that class clown, that entertainer, that good vibes person. I was like, I'm focused. I'm that guy that could be serious. And this is the society pressure I felt at the time. And finally, as I went to Western University, I ended up doing really horribly in academically wise in that program. And I actually had to drop out of that program in the end of the third year, even though I only had 1 year left of it. And I just graduated with a financial economics degree because I liked economics. But while I was there, I had the time of my life. And what I mean by that is I met so many people that today I'm so close with today that work in my business with me that have helped me, because it put me in a zone of discomfort to be out of my hometown of Montreal and be in a new city, not knowing anyone. I had no choice but to elevate, no choice but to, put myself in uncomfortable situations, to make friends, to actually make a life for myself, even though academically I was struggling. And then finally, I was watching Shark Tank one night, and this is after I applied to every job in investment banking, every bank possible, every actuarial job. I didn't get it. I couldn't get a job, and I don't know why. I knew my academics weren't great, but I just couldn't pass the first interview. And I was watching Shark Tank one night at my parents' house, and I watched a guy on the camera pitch his dream, pitch his story, and the sacrifice he's made. And he was like a middle-aged man, and he took a mortgage on his house. He had debt. He had kids. He had no income coming in, and he looked so free. He looked so like, yes, stressed, but happy, and like he had momentum and energy. And I was so inspired by him. And I said, holy shit, even though I'm just sitting here trying to look for a job and I'm back living at my parents' house, I don't have like mortgage debt or anything like that. And this guy looks more free and happy than I am. And I said, in that moment, I said, I got to try entrepreneurship. I got to give it a chance, because this whole banking situation isn't working for me. I obviously am not loving it because I can't figure out my passion and give it the full energy it needs. So that's when I started to, brainstorm and say, what do I love? And fitness at the time was what I loved. And I launched a fitness company where I was running outdoor boot camps in Montreal. And for those of you who live in Montreal, you know how cold it is for 6 to 7 months of the year. So during the summer, everyone wants to be outside. So what I did is I did the outdoor boot camps. I did classes, and I charged like $5 a head. Ended up making so much money. I was making like $40,000 to $50,000 cash a summer. I was killing it. My shirt was off. And the reason why I did it so well was I bought equipment for outside. I worked out outside with people, and I brought a great story. I took stories on Snapchat. I posted them all over the social media. People wanted to be part of it. And then I did that for two years and a half, successful, but I ended up closing it because I lost my passion for the fitness. I still work out today 5 days a week, but I didn't want to start helping others. And I lost my passion to help others. And that was the moment I closed that business. People were like, you're crazy. And again, pressure was like, well, how are you going to make money? You're already making so much money before that. What are you going to do? And I was like, in my head, I was so clear. I was like, no, I'm closing this because I don't love it anymore. And I need to do me. And the next thing I did was throw a clothing brand. I launched a clothing brand, and it brought me back to campuses across Canada, college campuses, where I threw parties to build the hype and the energy and the noise and the story. And then I would put a pop-up shop on the campus, get the students all involved, and try to sell them the clothing, like sweatshirts like this with a logo on it. And it was very successful in terms of the brand hype, the community, and people knowing the company. But from an operational standpoint, I was completely failing. I lost like $75,000+, went bankrupt, moved back to my parents' house, closed that company after 2.5 years. And then I was like, hey, I was back to square one. I was like, do I need to continue this entrepreneurship run? I'm exhausted. I gave so much time for the last 5 years of my life. Am I just ready to go get a job? And there's nothing wrong with a job. It just, I need to find something I love. And I started looking, and then my brother-in-law and my sister approached me with this crazy chocolate bar idea. And they're like, do you want to be our third partner to launch this company? And all you got to do is be you. That's the job, is build the hype, build the momentum, tell the story, gain us a network, build us a network. And the job consists of you being you. And I was like, well, food is not so fun. Food is not such a, interesting space. If you look at the grocery store, it's not so entertaining and majestic. It's commodities that are just priced at a certain point, and people are buying them for function or taste. And I actually rejected them for 3 months to join the company. And then finally, I realized after my ex-girlfriend at the time broke up with me, and I was feeling really depressed and sad, that I have nothing else to do in my life right now. So why not just take this opportunity? I don't have to do any operations, which is what I'm not good at. All I got to do is build the brand and the network and be myself. So August 4th, 2018, I joined, and I became the third co-founder. And the title Rainmaker came because my whole job was to build the Midday Squares network on a day-to-day basis. It's how do I bring in investors? How do I bring in retailers? How do I bring in journalists? How do I make sure that the brand is always building? There's always noise and momentum being created 24/7. And I don't do any operations in this business, zero. That's what my partners handle. And that's the beauty of a successful partnership, is you stay in your lane.
I love that. Well, Jake, thanks for sharing your story, right? You shared a lot of highs, a lot of lows, the whole entrepreneur journey, how it shifted too from different ideas, going from a clothing brand all the way to now a chocolate bar brand. But most importantly, sharing like your strengths and weaknesses and as well as your authentic self. And that's actually one reason why, I want to bring you on the show. Something that I want to move to, Jake, is a friend that we have in common. His name is Dan, and he describes you as an unapologetic, fearless leader. I actually think he's deadly accurate, like continuously like ambitious and motivated and self-driven, right? To go forward with all these different ideas of your entrepreneurship journey. A couple of weeks ago, Forbes recognized that, right? You made it to the 30 under 30 North America list, and they actually brought you to ring the bell at the Nasdaq and also appear on the billboard of Times Square. How do you think you earned that?
So I got to tell you, in one simple way, you earn that by being yourself every day. It sounds cheesy, but the truth is I've been going at entrepreneurship now for almost 10 years. So the Forbes recognition of representing the food category and being part of that 30 under 30 list across Canada and the United States is they have seen the hustle that I put in and the people around me. And I was recognized as it, but at the end of the day, it's my team and anyone that's been on my journey is a part of that award, because without that, I don't get to where I am. And I'm not saying I'm successful. I'm far from what I've wanted to accomplish in my life. But the recognition, I think, is because of the respect of staying true to what I believe in and remaining unapologetic in all the decisions I make, trusting my gut. And, ringing that bell at the NASDAQ for Forbes was really cool because it was something I've always dreamt of and kind of being acknowledged or just like recognized slightly as that they do not just recognize massive corporations, but people that are doing it true to themselves is a sign that we're moving in the right direction in this world, because it's no longer a square box in life to just be and do, and this is the path you have to take. My purpose in life is to show people, well, first off, my purpose is to spread good vibes, is to show people that you can win in whatever you do in your life, whatever it is. Whether it's chocolate, whether it's clothing, whether it's fitness, whether it's becoming a pilot, whether it's, working at a movie theater, whatever it is, by being yourself every day. And the moment you notice that, the moment you start to be yourself every day is the moment you start winning. It's the moment you start creating real momentum. And for me, when with this press comes, these awards come, or these recognitions, it's not about necessarily just a chocolate bar that we've created that's delicious and is doing very well. No, it's about that this company is being unapologetic every day ourselves. And that's what we want to show the world. We want to build $1 billion business. And I say billion just because of the size, for people to understand the size. It's not about the financial side. It's about, if we could do it by being true to ourselves, then what's to say you can't do anything by being yourself? We're going in the hardest industry in the world. Food is one of the most high barrier entries to build a large company, because the infrastructure that you need to support and build out to actually scale. You have 10 massive brands that dominate the entire food and beverage world, maybe 12, that are basically responsible for 80 to 85% of the revenue in the grocery store. So you can imagine how difficult it is to become one of those 12, a modern day version of those 12, right? And that's what we're trying to accomplish. But we are not taking the typical route. We are taking a route that is different, that our gut is telling us. For example, we share therapy sessions that we go through as partners on our social media. We show you a side that isn't perfect. We show you the true sense of building a business, how moments literally feel, how we feel alone, we feel depressed, we feel sad. And it's not to make you feel bad for us, because that's not the goal, or pity us. It's to show you this is how much goes in to building this product, to building a brand, hopefully a legacy brand. These are the things that I respect so much Forbes for recognizing and showing to the world that there is another path to take. You don't have to take the standard path. And that's hopefully what we can inspire into the next generation of entrepreneurs, to the next generation of people going into the workforce, to the next generation of people that are just doing cool things, artsy things, creative things. This is what Midday Square stands for. It's not just a chocolate company. It's go out and be bold in yourself every day.
I love that. I love that. And it actually reminds me, I don't know if you've heard of the channel Yes Theory, have you?
I have not.
So they've blown up. They do a lot of storytelling in their videos, Thomas as well as Matt, and highly recommend you check it out, because I think you guys are doing similar things in a different way. Obviously 2 different brands, all that stuff. But it got to the point where they challenged Will Smith to do a bungee jump, and he sent them a video back and said, we're going to do it for sure, but we're doing it on a couple of conditions. We're doing it on my 50th birthday. We're doing it over the Grand Canyon, and we're doing it for charity. And like, who would have thought, like, one of the guys, Matt, who is part of Yes Theory, like now this is a huge company and they have all these employees. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is they're so authentic in their marketing, in their storytelling, in their impact that they're having on their fan base, and I feel you guys are doing that in terms of in the chocolate industry, which is really cool. And so, yeah, it takes a lot of courage. And so the fact that I think they've acknowledged that, in terms of Forbes, says a lot, right? It says a lot in terms of you guys are doing something different. You guys are standing out. You guys are weird in a good way, right? It's okay to be weird. So I love that. I love that about you. Something that I want to though shift to is, we were talking a little bit about, a Rainmaker. And I know when I went back to a video, I don't know, I think it was like 3 years ago, you were calling yourself a rover, right? And now it's kind of transformed over time into a Rainmaker. So my question is, for any CEO that's listening right now, who's hearing to these names, how did that evolve? What exactly is a Rainmaker? And how can it have such an influential impact on the branding of any business?
Yeah. So first off, I've transitioned from many names. So, and roles, let's call them titles. I think titles is this whole new pressure point that again, we got to take a little less serious. But so when we started the company August 4th, 2018, I was the delivery boy, Jake the delivery boy. So what I would do is I would literally I'd make the products every day by hand. We had no choice. It was just the three of us, my partners and I. And then I would go deliver them by hand to our retailers and to our consumers, direct to like the end consumer. And what that did was I learned that building those relationships and meeting those people really can have a strong impact. So I took that and I'm like, hey, I'm going to keep delivering. I'm going to act like as a truck driver and deliver, but also build the friendship with the people on the ground at all the retail levels. So cashiers, managers, buyers, everyone, and get to know them and bring them that energy that is true to me. So I started doing that and it was very successful. And eventually, as you scale the business, you start to have a distributor pick up your product. You start shipping out more truckloads of stuff. So then I couldn't no longer do that. We were in many different cities. And so I had to transition. I felt this loss of purpose because I was like, oh my God, I'm no longer Jake the delivery boy. I was this legend role. And slowly then I start to realize that now I need to do many different things. So I start to help out with customer experience. I start to help out the marketing team. I started to help out with the finance team. And that's why it was called Jake the Rover, because I would rover around, add value to the different departments by rovering and just adding points of value and then moving on. So I'd go and let's say I knew a retailer, I'd be like, hey, I'd send it to my sales team and be like, hey, this is what I noticed at the retailer. They want this. And here's how we're doing in the store. Here's where we're not doing well. So and then I'd give them that information and then move on to the customer experience team where I noticed that, oh, hey, customers are saying this. Can we do this? And then I would move on. And I never really managed anybody. I didn't have to, right? I was not responsible for any department. Then as time went on, we started to get bigger and bigger and grow more. And I started to evolve more and I'm open to evolving. And I started to realize that it's too chaotic for me to be part of every department. It's way too whack. It doesn't work because I don't have a direct report, but yet I'm not commanding things, but I'm suggesting things. And then getting them done wasn't a priority because they had other things that they were doing. So it was a whole thing. Then finally, I realized that my full strength is building relationships. That is it. I am very good at building authentic, and I don't use authentic in a buzzword format. I use it in a real way. Building real, genuine relationships that add value to midday squares. So what that means is, if we need investors, I will go make friends with every investor. Then I will go through them, hang out with them, show up in New York City, go to LA, go to Texas, wherever they are, spend a night with them, sleep on their couches, wake up with them, learn, like what I mean, not sexually, I mean like at their homes, like on their couches and stuff with their family. And then basically when the time was right, when we needed to raise money, I had a list of 50 people that I'm close friends with now that know Midday Squares, know us. And now when we need to engage into an actual term sheet, these 50 are now the select group of the 100 that we knew, because these 50, I already have a direct relationship, and then I'll transition that relationship to our finance team, to our CFO or my partner, Nick, and they will then execute on the actual due diligence and the term sheet. And the beauty about it is that when you're friends first, it automatically creates a subconscious bias for better. So they want to help. They want to help the company because they respect me. They are friends with me. And that's why I say it's not business first. It's actually genuine friendship first, because some of them don't work out in the business sense after, but I'm still close to them. I party with them. I hang out with them. So then I start to realize that, holy shit, it's not just applied to investors, but it's applied to our buyers, our retailers, our store managers that we work with, our cashiers, and then also to journalists, to all the writers out there. They're amazing. So I start to become close to them. So then I start to Rainmake, basically bringing in all the value that these departments needed to do more with. And then I would transition the relationship to them, and I would no longer partake in it. I would step away, and I would solely just remain as a friend. I wouldn't follow up, but if there was a problem, I would then come in and say, hey, how are we going to solve this together? And then basically work on it. So the Rainmaker brings in the rain. And a lot of companies, like legal companies, so like law firms, have Rainmakers that aren't lawyers. They're actually one of the highest paid team members in the firm, because they bring in clients. All they do is they're focused on bringing in the clients so that the lawyers can do their job. And that allows them to just focus on one thing and be unfucking believable at that. So that's what I do today. So, being a founder and owning a company, you could move around, be open to it. Let your ego go. Like, fuck it. If you're being managed by someone, who cares? If it's for the best of the vision and yourself, do that. Play to your strength, not your weaknesses. Most people stay to their weaknesses, and that's why their companies fail. They don't either delegate or they don't move on. And I learned that that's one of the most important things is pivot and evolve, pivot and evolve.
Appreciate that explanation, because I think sometimes you can have a really good product, but no one freaking knows about you, right? So a Rainmaker is doing a good job at not just making those connections or, building those relationships, but also being like the face of the brand, which I think you do a really good job at. It almost reminds me of like Gary Vee, right? Who obviously a lot of people know about him now, right? But at the start they didn't, right? But he was always out there, right? Doing all those wine videos at the start, before he transitioned to other entrepreneurship journeys, right? So you have to have that face. You have to get out there. You have to put yourself out there if you want to really, really build that identity, right? So
yeah, you got to tell a story every day and be yourself, man. Like, the way I build these relationships is not by sitting on my computer every day and writing emails. The way I do it is by showing up on a fucking plane. That's why I've taken 112 to 114 flights this year in 1 year. Because I show up for the relationships. I show up because it's not an agenda to get them to work with us. The agenda is simply to become friends with you. And when I become friends with you, we relate on other things. We relate on, let's say we both play hockey. We'll go play hockey. Let's say we both love reading Forbes media. We'll do that together. We'll laugh about it. But that means you need to get off your fucking ass, stop being lazy, show up, and actually be present and give energy. And then also be loud on social media, build out loud. For me, I've noticed successful leaders build out loud. Not all of them. There's very successful people that don't. But if you look at Elon Musk, he builds out loud. People don't love him. People love him. There's half-half, let's call it. But the people that love him are diehard fans. So for me, it's like he builds out loud. He's a marketing engine. He's literally the personality, the stuff he posts, the craziness, the boldness. That is a personality. That is an engine of marketing. So for me, yeah, I share my open journey of Midday Squares and my personal journey when I'm going through highs and lows. The reason why is because I want people to relate to me. I want them to relate to the brand. I want them to become a fan of the brand. I don't need you to become a customer first. I'd rather you become a fan and a friend first, then become a customer, because you want to support and you actually want to try the product. But first, let's make noise. Let's build a story. Let's get people emotionally connected, and then let's sell product.
I love that. I love that. And that's also, being a human first, connecting, because you're showcasing you are human. So this actually makes me think, how have you successfully leveraged social media, storytelling, and digital media tools to bring brand visibility to Midday Squares?
I think the reason why we've had success on social media and, on TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn specifically, is because we post real content. So we post the real stuff that goes on behind the scenes of this business. That means good, bad, ugly. And when you post this, people want to get behind it. They want to know more. They're part of it. They know that our machine broke down and this is going to cost us $200,000 and we might not be able to ship the product. And this creates a very big problem with our retailers. They know the whole story. And they know when we're in therapy sessions, we have our cameras there, we're filming, the cameras are rolling. It's not made up to get drama. It's not made up to, make you feel bad. No, this is how we truly feel emotionally and why it's affecting the business. So you get this relatability, the sense of relatability, which creates that true organic virality. So on TikTok, we get anywhere from 100,000 views to 10 million per post. And on LinkedIn, it's 20 to 150,000. On Instagram, it's 10 to 100,000. And that is just organic content being pumped. And it's relatable. That's the successful trait on any social media. It doesn't happen right away. It's years of work of banging that nail in the wall. You need to consistently do it and not be discouraged that views necessarily aren't the highest. It takes time to build a community. Communities don't happen overnight.
Absolutely. No, for sure. I love that you shared as well, like the whole transparency of you guys, taking that step, like you and your partners going through group therapy and stuff and showcasing that, like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Cause I think it shows a lot of truth, a lot of honesty, which I think people want because it shows more trust, no matter what the good, the bad, or the ugly is. And so I really applaud you guys on doing that as like partners, like making that decision. Hey, you know what? We're going to do group therapy. We're going to do this for our business as well as our personal relationships between each other. So I think that was a very intelligent decision. And is there any, mental fitness tools or practices or routines that you want to share from that experience?
I think the key in life is just start getting comfortable. First of all, people don't share their story because they're fearful of judgment. They're fearful that people don't find it interesting. And I think that's completely false in the sense of once you realize that, you are living your story 24/7 per day. So at the end of the day, you don't find it maybe that interesting because you're 24/7 in and out of it nonstop. So you might find it boring but when you look at it, somebody else in the world might find it interesting, one person, and that adds value. That adds value, that one person. And once you get out of your head and say, you know what, I'm just happy to share because this is truly what's going on and I'm not embarrassed. I'm not judgmental of myself, is the moment that you unlock this freedom, this sense of freedom. And I'm not saying become a slave to social media because that's dangerous too. Like, becoming addicted. And I've been in that space before of being addicted to the likes, the views, the whole thing. But once you realize that your story could be compelling and interesting, and then start sharing it. And I don't give a shit about other people. I really do. Sorry, that's not the way to put it. I don't care about what others think of me. I care about a lot of people, and I don't care what others think about me because at the end of the day, you have such a short vacation on this earth. You might as well be bold and living unapologetically to who you are. Because if you're being someone else every day, you are wasting life. You are literally wasting life, and it took time. Again, it didn't happen overnight. I started to become a lot more comfortable as I started to release more and more of my life. Now I'm basically an open book. Obviously, I don't show my sex life and stuff like that, but everything else is pretty much out there, and I'm okay with it. And like I said, if someone comes at me, trolls, I learned that they'll come at you because they're suffering. It's nothing about you, really. At the end of the day, it's about them. And once you realize that, you want to help them, even if they say mean things. And like I said, I believe I'm a very good person. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I'm not a hateful person. I'm not an angry person. So if someone misinterprets what I say, I always explain it, and I explain what I said and where the intentions were. So I think it took time and practice, but eventually it becomes almost second nature.
Absolutely. And I think it took a lot of courage, right? It takes courage to be able to take that step to really just, be you and not kind of care about those risks of judgment, right? And kind of like what you said, and I think you nailed it, was the fact that it's not that you don't care about the people. You do care about people, which you clearly restated that. It's more not about the critical aspects of people tearing you down, right? Because you want to be yourself. You want to lead without a title. You want to lead with intention. You want to, achieve your dreams, right? So I love that.
Be you and be human, man. People are everything. People first, then business. I'll tell you why. Without the people in your business, like our teammates, and our investors and our support system, Midday Squares is nothing. So I always say, take care of your peeps, be authentic, be yourself, and be empathetic. And don't just be empathetic because people are telling you, but be empathetic because you want to and you want to listen. And not everyone sees things the same way, and that's okay.
Absolutely. No, for sure. Something that I want to move to next is you and your team, and I purposely said team, are planning on building the next world's best chocolate factory. So my question to you is, when will the dream come true and you officially be identified by billions of people across the world that you are now the next Willy Wonka?
Yeah, tough question. So great. Yeah, our goal is to be the next then we want to be a modern day Mars or Hershey's. And what I mean by that is we want to create better for you snacks in the chocolate space, but at the scale that those companies are. That's really what we're trying to accomplish. And that could take 20 plus years from today. 20 to 30 if we stay true to what we're doing. I really believe we can get there. It took those companies 70 to 100 or 50 to 100 years. I believe we could do it. That being said, it's going to be a very long journey and a difficult road. That being said, in the next 5 years, we'll hopefully surpass $100+ million in revenue in the next 3 to 5 years. And that will already be a statement to this new version of a chocolate conglomerate, let's call it, because once we're in that regime, we're starting to move quick and we're building true movement. You know, we don't just want to be in Canada, United States. We want to be a worldwide brand. So that means we want to be available in all the countries, and still deliver high quality, delicious chocolate that's functional and a brand that you actually care about, that connects to you and it feels you feel emotionally attached to. And that's why the storytelling component is extremely important. And the product market fit and innovation side is extremely important as well.
There are so many chocolate brands out there. So what do you believe separates a good chocolate bar from a great chocolate bar?
I think for us, we've innovated a product that has never existed before. So we built our own factory, and typically in food, you don't do that. You have a third-party manufacturer that does all your stuff, and they do everybody's bars. So for us, setting ourselves apart from a product differentiation standpoint, it's a 2-stack chocolate bar with functional ingredients in the sense where it's high protein, high fiber, keeps you full. So it's delicious, but also has like you have a reason to eat it other than just taste. The second thing is building a brand similar like a Nike that actually inspires or creates some sort of feeling inside of you. I feel like in the food space, there's not that many of those brands that are doing that. So I think that we're going to be able to get that. Now, the game is just a question of logistics, distribution, infrastructure now. It's scaling that infrastructure, and that is the hardest part, in my opinion. But that's what differentiates us from the 1,000+, 10,000+ chocolate bar companies out there, or chocolate companies out there.
Those are good answers. Jake, as you know, the purpose of this podcast is to inspire millions of people across the world to achieve greatness and enhance their overall personal well-being. So what is your definition of greatness?
To be proud of who you are is greatness, and to actually be yourself every day, and not cave to pressure, not cave to what people want you to be. I think that is what true greatness is to me. It's freedom.
Jake, who is a future guest that you would like to see on the show?
In the food space, I like this guy named Jonathan Bonell. He's in Ontario. He has a company called Holy Veggie. I think he's just bold and wild, and he hustles, and I like him a lot. I think he'd be a good one. He's authentic to himself. And that's definitely a person that I'd like to see.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I'll keep track of that name. And, if I get him on, I'll be sure to share that episode with you.
If you want me to introduce you to him, I'm more than happy to.
That'd be awesome. I would love that. Where is the best place for my listeners to follow your work or, follow your company online?
So you definitely add Midday Squares to watch the reality show on social media. So Instagram at Midday Squares, TikTok at Midday Squares, and LinkedIn Midday Squares. If you want to follow my personal journey, add me on LinkedIn, just Jake Karls. And if you want to buy the product or find it, it's available in 4,500 stores across North America. So in the United States, Target, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Fresh Time, Fresh Market, many more, always located in the refrigerated section, refrigerator. And in Canada, Walmart Canada, Sobeys, Metro, Tao, Avril, Whole Foods, and many more. Just go on our website, www.middaysquares.com, store locator, or get it on amazon.ca or .com.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll make sure to put that in the podcast notes. So Jake, I want to just take this last moment to really thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, your entrepreneurship journey as well as your wisdom.
I appreciate you. Thanks for giving me a voice, and let's keep winning, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Living Your Greatness podcast. If this show has added some value, don't be shy to subscribe, leave a rating, and make a review.